Welcome back to the Contrarian, everybody. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. I definitely did. I know that I've talked a lot about silver and gold, precious metals, a lot recently, and this video is going to be about silver as well. There's just been so much happening in the precious metals space in recent months, and especially even in the last week in silver especially, we saw a lot of really interesting things happen. I'll talk about the Chicago Mercantile Exchange shutdown. I'll talk about everything there. I'll talk about, of course, the price action we're seeing in silver right now, silver breaking out to new all-time highs, the miners, everything like that. Driving back actually today in the car, I just really wanted to make a video before the week got started. Today is Sunday, November 30th for context. So, on Friday, just 2 days ago, when the market was open for most of the day, it was a shorter day than usual due to the holiday. But on Friday, actually, Thursday night after the Thanksgiving holiday, we saw some very interesting price action in the silver's futures markets. And, of course, I'll touch on that. Chicago Mercantile Exchange, CME, apparently had, or they say they had, a data center shutdown or a server shutdown. Apparently, they say it was due to a cooling issue, or a cooling system failure that caused one of their servers to go down and to shut down trading with the silver's futures exchange price, as well as a bunch of other futures exchange prices as well. Temporarily, trading stopped in these futures markets. And it's very interesting, and it's very interesting timing for sure, because silver, recently has broken out to the upside, broken out to new all-time highs. And on this particular evening, silver was breaking out from kind of this, month-long consolidation that we've been in, where about a month ago, silver finally broke through the $50 an ounce barrier, broke to the upside, got close to the $55 an ounce area, and then it consolidated back down to around, $48 an ounce at the lows of this consolidation. So a fairly quick and sharp pullback silver experienced. The miners experienced that as well. Gold experienced a quick, sharp pullback as well. And, it looks like both gold and silver and the miners are breaking out to the upside again. And it's just very interesting timing to have, silver, futures trading interrupted for, almost 12 hours till, I don't actually know the entire duration, but multiple hours during which time trading activity went to zero on the silver's futures market, at least on the CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange market exchange. And so it's just very interesting timing. I don't know, personally, I'm not sure if it was a deliberate interruption. For example, the market makers deciding that they had to shut it down, stop it because silver was breaking out to the upside too much. I don't know if it was some intervention, outright intervention like that, or if it was due to just so much activity going on. I kind of see that as less likely because, there's probably been other time periods where total volume going through there has been higher. There is, of course, the possibility it was just a cooling system failure, and it happened to happen on this particular day. And of course, it coincided with the holiday. There could have been something surrounding that as well. Something surrounding the fact that it was a shorter trading day than usual that was approaching, this Friday. It was a shorter trading day than usual. I don't know, but it's very interesting to see this kind of dynamic happening around silver, because for a while, folks out there, kind of like myself, I've said this at times too, that silver is a very, fragile but critical market. The fact that it's used in so many critical industries. It's a monetary metal, of course. The fact that so many big banks likely have big short positions in silver that really cannot be unwound. They kind of doubled down, repeatedly doubled down. And there's not really a way you can unwind something like that without the price exploding to the upside or there being outright market manipulation. And I kind of tend towards the market manipulation story because I've personally seen that in a lot of other instances. Of course, I mean, probably most famously or most recent instance that comes to my mind is the GameStop saga, where the shorts on GameStop stock had just doubled down so many times that at a certain point they could not unwind a short position like that without the price just going astronomically high, which it did go astronomically high. It went higher than any kind of justifiable valuation on GameStop's stock. In reality, though, it could have gone much higher had exchanges not intervened and prevented trading of GameStop stock for at least a few days. If I'm remembering correctly, I mean, Robinhood shut down trading, even Charles Schwab shut down trading. Large stock exchanges shut down trading of GameStop stock. Of course, they shut it down for reasons that they stated was, limiting their own risk to traders, for example, using margin debt to trade GameStop's stock with. But they kind of went beyond that in terms of trying to greatly decrease the total interest in GameStop stock, because of course with the interest that the price action brought in, there were all sorts of retail traders and other investors just suddenly interested in getting on board with this. And so this is kind of the most recent example I can personally think of that resembles something like what we maybe saw in silver on Friday. I hope that it doesn't continue where there's kind of this, suppression of trading, shutting down of exchanges, everything like that. I hope that doesn't happen with silver. If it does continue to happen, obviously we will know what really happened on Friday was a manipulative type of event. As it is, I don't really know, it being late Thursday, late holiday, early Friday, a shorter trading day. I don't really personally have an opinion yet on whether it was outright manipulation on silver, trying to keep the price lower, trying to unwind short sellers. I don't know if it was that kind of a story or if it was just, kind of just a series of events that went wrong that, caused this kind of outage. But, very interesting nonetheless to think about. And of course, we're going to, see in the coming days, probably even this evening, when the futures markets open again, when silver and gold, both those futures markets open again. And if there's, further kind of suppression of actual price discovery in silver, that will become apparent over time, of course. But, overall, I guess my perception of silver and gold going forward, I remain extremely bullish, of course. I don't personally actually see that much interest either on the retail side or the institutional side yet. It's very interesting. This kind of almost hidden bull market that's been going on for almost 2 years now. Crazy to think about. I mean, gold's up probably 150% in the last 2 years. Silver's up probably 200%-ish in the last 2 years. Miners are probably up 200% or more in some cases. I know some of my miners are up way more than that. Some of them are kind of, at par with the performance of gold and silver, but it's just so interesting to see how hidden of a bull market this has been. I mean, of course, it's due to the fact that a lot of other things have performed well too. I mean, the stock market's up a decent amount in the last 2 years as well. I mean, bonds have really underperformed pretty much everything else, so that's probably the one area where investors might try to look elsewhere if they're in bonds and hurting as a result, just because rates have stayed relatively high, interest rates have. But, it'll be really interesting to see, because I do anticipate, of course, once there is that strong retail and institutional interest in gold and silver, I personally will be starting to offload my positions because, I like to think of myself as a contrarian. I call this channel that because I look for value where others are rarely looking. And then once the crowd does begin to come around to that realization, it's kind of the correct time to start looking elsewhere. And usually there's other areas where there's good bargains to be found at that time. But, you know, right now I see myself as still being on the early side of a winning trade that probably is going to play out in the coming months. Of course, not investment advice. These are just my personal thoughts. But I wanted to make this video just to kind of give my thoughts, my updates on what I see coming, my thoughts on silver. Of course, this very historic last week that we've had. Gold as well. I mean, gold is not breaking to new all-time highs yet from this consolidation, but it's getting very close. I think, realistically, gold could head to the $5,000 an ounce area pretty quickly. But silver, I mean, to the upside, it's amazing to see just the technicals, the fundamentals behind silver. It's an extremely bullish scenario. I'll just say that because, silver, you could draw out, a 50, 60-year cup and handle type technical pattern. Silver is just broken out from, the all-time high resistance. Nominal resistance, of course, it's nowhere near the inflation adjusted all-time highs, but silver, I don't really know where the upside for silver lies. I mean, probably the next target area is the $100 an ounce area. That's kind of probably the next major area at which you'd probably see some selling come in, people offloading at that price, but that's a good 90% higher from here. So, I mean, silver looks spectacular. The miners look spectacular here, of course. So I remain very optimistic on all of this. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Just giving my thoughts on the CME outage, silver in the last week especially. What we will see there maybe coming up, whether it'll indicate there's some kind of funny business going on or not, I guess remains to be seen. I'll keep you all posted and have a great day.